to QuickBooks Bumps Benefits, Tips and Tricks for QuickBooks Online. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. Our first part of the series was on invoicing and sending the invoices to customers. And this part 2 will now be on receiving the payments. These are the two most important things for any small business once you set up your QuickBooks Online account, is to bill a customer, send an invoice out. In this case, QuickBooks Online makes it real easy to email it right to a customer or send it to their cell phone as well. And the next most important part then will be to receive the payments, and you'll see why. It's very important if you invoice a customer. In this case, last time we did Diego and invoiced him for installing flooring. Put our dollar amount in. We send our invoice. Now, after we send our invoice out, and again, you can check out that first video on sending invoices. It'll also show you creating customers, creating items. Items are things that you build to customers. It could be parts, they could be services, and so on. And now we have to go in and receive payments. So there's two ways, easy ways to get to payments. One we knew, receive payments. Or we can also go here to our customers, our customer menu, and here's some really neat tricks. You can see overdue invoices or all currently due invoices, and that way you'll only see customers that have balances right with you. And you can go in to receive payments. In this case, it's only the invoice that we had billed out for the flooring. And then you pick your payment method. In this case, haven't got credit card set up yet, so only paying by cash or checks. And if you receive it, it's very important to also, if it's a check, put in the reference number. That way you can easily go back and find it if there's any issues with the check. And the next most important thing here is if you're making more than one deposit at a time, meaning you have 2 or 3 customers that pay you and you're putting one big deposit in, they have something called undeposited funds. And that way, if you make 2 or 3 deposits together, all in one big deposit, it'll match up what's on your bank statement. You could put it directly into the checking account if you just go in and deposit one check at a time, or you normally receive larger checks. Either way is fine. The difference is if you're only depositing one check at a time, you can go right to the checking. If you're depositing more than one check, it's best to use undeposited funds. And that way we can pick which deposits we're making and have it all match up. I'll go back to my dashboard. Here's my create invoices again. And right now they have add a bank deposit. And there's a couple payments in here. The payment from Diego and Freeman Sporting. If we were making both of these deposits at one time, the total is $927. We pick our checking account, we can pick our savings, wherever you're making the deposit to. Save and new. And they also have other features here like save and close that you can toggle that over. There's always a lot of different ways to get to things in QuickBooks Online. And there's also a lot of ways to do things. So whatever you find works best for you, coming from desktop, using QuickBooks for over 30 years, they had a great pictorial feature here. So I'm still used to a lot of icons, but also the menus. Every feature that's in all the icons is also up here as well. In this case, we'll go to our checking account. If you click into a checking account right in that main menu, it takes you right to here. This is where you pick categories for your deposits and also for your expenses. And right now I'll do another trick. Go right to the register. And here's the deposit we just put in today, the $927. I can hit edit. And you'll see the same 2 deposits. This way, when you see our check register, it looks just like your regular check register you've seen forever. Your home register, your business register, and they have deposits and payments and a running balance. So by hooking up the bank feeds, which will be part 3 of this series, all this information is being pulled in for you on the expense side, all your checks, all your ACHs, and all these deposits will match up to whatever went into the bank. So if you're putting, in this case it was 2 deposits at one time, we'll click into another deposit. They also had 2 deposits go in at one time. If you had just put the checks directly in, you might see, in this case, 4 different checks in here and nothing would match up. It makes it much harder to reconcile your bank account. If you match it up to what's on the bank, it's the whole idea of putting in the undeposited funds and matching up your deposits. That way this will match exactly what pulled in from that bank feed. And that's all we have for today. If you like us, subscribe, and also check out my first video, which is on invoicing, creating customers, and creating your new invoice items, and then how to send the invoice to the customer. And now our second part, which was receiving payments, and our third part, we'll take a look at the bank feed, hooking them up, which is really not too hard as long as you have online banking. And then you'll see all this great stuff that I was just showing you pull automatically into your bank accounts. So I'll see you on the next episode. If you like me, subscribe, and see you next time on QuickBooks Bumps and Benefits, Tips and Tricks.